Next on our program is the start of the presentations, and the first group to do the presentation is GIPO, Ghana Institute for Public Policy Options. Ghana Institute for Public Policy Options. We'll take the first presentation from GIPO.
Good morning.
But before he does the presentation, the facilitators will set the ground rules for the presentation. So may I invite one of them, just in a brief, they will tell us the time within which you are expected to do your presentation and all that. So,
thank you. I'm sorry, Doc. Ladies and gentlemen, to bring some order into our presentations, we all agree here that we'll have 20 minutes for each of the organizations to make its submission. When an organization uses less than the allotted 20 minutes, then the audience may ask questions during the remainder of the allotted time. After each of the presentations of submissions, the panel may ask questions and seek clarification on the presentation. Those in the audience who may be given the opportunity to ask questions must kindly identify themselves, your name and where you may be coming from, your organization. We will also plead that the questions from the audience must be concise, straight to the point, very brief, without losing the substance. Thank you once again, and Doc, you have the honor to do your presentation.
Is that part of 20 minutes? Or
as soon as I sit down.
Then it starts, okay? That's good. I don't want to suffer the fate of the chairman, so I asked the EC technical team to show the plugging my presentation, and hopefully they will help me to run through it. As I came in here, I recognized somebody who had worked with in these matters since 1992. He's now a member of the Council of State, and I want to recognize Mr. David Kanga and every other member of the Council of State who happens to be here. Pardon? Guy is calling me. I see. Go on.
May I kindly appeal to you to either put your phones on silence or switch them off completely. Phones ringing can sometimes disrupt the process, so we appeal to you to switch off your phones or put them on silence. Thank you.
Any more interruptions before I start?
No.
Good, thank you. Now I can now start. Mr. Bellman, 20 minutes from now. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the Electoral Commission for inviting me and the institution, and also for giving us the privilege of making the opening presentation for this very important event. Many of you know me in many other different disguises, and before you all start saying, oh, Wereku Brobbey talks too much, you see everywhere. I'm here because since 1992, I've had a role, apart from voting in every election, in the prosecution of every election. from monitoring elections on behalf of political parties through to observing elections on behalf of the Institute. So I come here with quite a rich experience, and more importantly, an institutional memory of what we are talking about. And I thought, since there seems to be so many opinions already formed before we get to the bottom of the matter, I asked that my presentation be on behalf of those who need further and better particulars to be able to say, yes, we need a deregister, or no, we must cleanse the register. So, for those of you who are worried about impartiality, I am biased. I've made my views known, but I am not for a new register or an old one or a cleansed one yet. And that's why we've put the title, are we putting the answer before the question? And the reason why I ask for that is that we don't seem to be well versed, at least in both the history and the facts of elections in Ghana. Next slide, please. Can I speak from somewhere else? Because I have posed 3 questions, which I think we need, those of us who haven't formed an opinion yet, we need to get some answers out of this seminar. I can't even see. Can we go back to the question? Right, next slide, please. Okay, are we talking about the bloated register? Are we talking about somebody compromising EC's database? Or are we talking about both of the above? Listening to the discussion going on, we are not sure as to which are the most important things. So, if we are talking about the EC's technical integrity, that matter needs to be resolved. And it must be resolved whether we're going to have a new register or we're going to have a cleansed register. If we are not sure of the technical integrity of the EC, IT system and database, etc., as alleged by some people, we need to actually have that seen to. So it's neither an issue of new or cleansed. Do we prepare new register, some have suggested, or do we clean up previous register? Next slide. This is the database of Ghana's voter registration in the Fourth Republic. But I use this really as a data to go to the next slide, which I think is more interesting. Can we have the next slide? And one thing I would say from this, I'm not trying to take the Dr. Bediako's intellectual capacity or knowledge, but as far as I can see, every single register in Ghana in the Fourth Republic has been bloated. And you can see from 1992, a very high figure, because the voter register was very, very old. It was prepared in 1987 for the district council elections, and then it was used without a new one. But even when we have done biometric, which was 2012, the voter register was still bloated. So it's our concern a bloated register, in which case would have declared null and void all previous elections in the Fourth Republic, or is our concern to have something that we can all have faith in, which is really the credibility issue. So let's not worry too much about bloating, even though it does not augur well. And if you look, both of the principal parties have benefited from bloated registers. as you can see. So, do we declare all previous presidents illegally elected? I don't think so. Next slide, please. This is just some information. Can we move on? Okay. This is the same thing where we are looking at voters turnout against registration in selected countries. And you can see, you know, our last election we had 80%, but the most, I think you've jumped several slides. I'm sorry. The next slide. Yeah. For those of you who are worried about whether it is, there should be a previous slide, but I don't see it. There should be a previous slide which compares very many other. It doesn't matter. Can we go on? We're not. This morning I received a WhatsApp saying that the U.S. government was worried about what was going on here. Well, even in the advanced countries, they have worries about bloated register. The next one is more interesting. I hope it's there. This is the United States. This report is from last month. And it is saying that 136 counties in the United States, counties equals constituencies, have got voters registered which are more than 100% of the voting age. So it's rich coming from the US saying they are watching us. The country that has got the most advanced, the most sophisticated identification system still has got voter register problems. So we need to be a bit careful about how much score we put on the voter registration. Can we go to the, so this is a quotation that I picked up as I was preparing. Somebody in here ought to recognize it. I wouldn't say who, but I think they are charity dysfunction. And he's quoted to have said, no proper electoral reforms could be done if the human beings involved in the processes are not reformed to protect the sanctity of the electoral system. So, and I agree entirely. We've tried to do the human elements. Double registration, I hope, has been largely dealt with by matrix, as we'll see. But there are two very basic problems. Underage voters and ineligible people. I thought about the phrase ineligible because it can be a whole gamut of things. Most people talk about foreigners and illegals, but there could be very many. How do we deal with those two problems? And it's, again, it's not just the Ghanaian problem, but the human element has its biggest influence in the way in which political parties seeking advantage deliberately promote underage voters and ineligible people and then seek to blame the referee for their own